Hey, welcome and thank you for dropping by. My name is Joel Brown, and I am a perfectionist, procrastination, mindset specialist. And what I do is I take my clients and my students through repatterning exercises to be able to break the patterns that are blocking them and stopping them from leveling up in life. Now, you may hear the word perfectionist and think, well, perfectionist is going to achieve a boatload of success and they're going to be fine. But that's very far from the truth. The truth is that perfectionists take a massive hit. They have a lot of emotional exhaustion. It takes a lot of toll on the body. It keeps them up at night. It keeps them ruminating on things because they are trying to get everything so right. And this is what we call the obsessive idealist procrastination type. There are actually 6 procrastination types. I've identified them over the years that I've been coaching. 8 years ago is when I first discovered them. And I have been able to support thousands across the world to be able to break their patterns around procrastination. And it actually started with me. I am an obsessive idealist. I'm recovering from this. I'm stepping more into creation rather than procrastination. So I'm inviting you into this too. If you're watching this today and you think, hey, that's actually resonating with me, I have some of these patterns, I'm a perfectionist, well, I'm going to break down some things that will just shed some light on why you may be procrastinating. And if you haven't yet, make sure you take the procrastination quiz. You can just see it in the description link below. You just see in the box there, orblis.com/quiz, or you could go to doquiz.com to take that quiz. So let's talk about the obsessive idealist. The obsessive idealist may often be referred to as a high achiever or a perfectionist. And there's this reason why we all procrastinate. It doesn't matter which type you are out of the 6. The reason why we procrastinate is because procrastination is the mind's protective pause against perceived threats, perfectionist pitfalls, and also the tug of war between the now and the future that goes on in our mind. It's almost like this defense shield that gets thrown up in our psyche to put us into freeze or avoidance. And this isn't going to be good for your success, right? It's also going to burn you out a lot. So we want to be able to manage this better. Now, there's this sort of paradox with the perfectionist because perfectionist patterns may seem like a strength for high achievers, but the truth is this becomes a hindrance and actually becomes one of your greatest kryptonites, because what you're doing is you're trying to stop yourself from failing. You're trying to get it 100% right. And the truth is that if you're an entrepreneur or you've been an athlete or whatever it may be in the world where you've had to really apply yourself, you'll know that nobody on this earth is perfect. And the obsessive idealist needs to really ingrain this deep within themselves, that it's okay to make mistakes, that it's okay to fail sometimes. We can learn lessons from this and extract the principles from that lesson and apply it to our life and integrate it into our being in order to be able to continue on. Now, the obsessive idealist can also go into this analysis paralysis. And this is really where you go into overthinking about every detail to the point of inaction. And that's not good either. It's almost like you're trying to get it all right, but ultimately it becomes the thing that turns around and bites you on the butt, right? So that's another reason why we like to repattern in my coaching practice the obsessive idealist patterns. Now, you may be sitting here listening to this and going, okay, cool, we're starting to get an understanding of why maybe you do what you do. But on an even deeper level, where this is coming from, it's coming from a childhood wound of this story that you tell yourself, which is, I'm not good enough. Now, every human being on this planet would say that they don't feel 100% good enough at the end of it all, right? We are all imperfect. We all strive to be seen, heard, and understood. We all want to be loved. But it seems to be a very deep wound in an obsessive idealist. So if we think of the things like avoiding because of fear of failure, if we think about analysis paralysis, if we think about this paradox of like stopping yourself because you want to get it right and get it perfect, and then that doesn't end up with any sort of outcome that you want, these are all symptoms, but the cause is the feeling of I'm not good enough. Okay. Now, what happens as another symptom that I've seen in my coaching practice over and over again, and it's happened in my life until I got a management of it, is setting unrealistic standards. It's almost like you're trying to achieve the impossible rather than aiming for creating something that is great or something that is almost there and then it needs a little bit of refining along the way. It's almost like you want to get it right the first time. So this can make you competitive, which is great, right? So you're a worthy contender in the industries of life, but it also means that you can be very unfair on yourself, beat yourself up, and also be very unfair on others. And this is what we call projecting, because you can have this unrealistic expectation on others too. This is where we start to judge ourselves. This is where we start to judge others. So you want to make sure that you manage that pattern and keep that in more of a realistic perspective. The next thing is really the time trap that comes into play. You know, when you are an obsessive idealist, it's like you're believing that there's never enough time to complete a task perfectly. So then you continue to postpone it. And this is a big problem because what you're doing is you're hand selecting the things that you think that you're going to be good at, and you're lying to yourself and saying, like, yeah, you know, I'm a high achiever and I go out there and I create success, but you're avoiding the things that you might not be good at that may take you a little bit more time to be able to skill up in or to become better at. And so what you're doing is you're only really playing at 50% and fooling yourself by thinking that because you're just grinding and grinding on the things you're good at, you're fooling yourself thinking that you're great at everything, but you're not, right? And the sooner that you accept that, the earlier or the sooner you're going to be able to integrate this patience and also apply the better standards that you set for yourself, knowing that things are going to take a little bit longer, maybe sometimes, than you would like it to, and that's okay. So that patience becomes part of your superpower if you can really start to cultivate that. Another thing, as you can probably imagine, somebody that feels at the core that they're not good enough, they tend to avoid criticism. And this can really negatively affect you because if you are avoiding criticism, sometimes you're able to get great feedback from people, but you're not willing to hear it because you don't want to hear that reinforcement of the story that you tell yourself of, I'm not good enough. If you hear from somebody else say that, like, oh yeah, I didn't quite like this, or that could have been better, or that could be changed, you take it personally. And then so this keeps you playing small. And you only play, again, in the things that you feel like you are good at, but you never grow and expand. And so this is a form of procrastination. Denzel Washington, the famous actor, he said something actually really profound. He said, don't mistake movement for progress. And that is like a massive catch line that obsessive idealists need to really drill into their mind, is that just because you're moving and moving and hustling and moving all the time doesn't mean that you're progressing to where you could actually be, right? We need downtime. We need time to journal. You need time to be able to sit and meditate. I spend time in prayer with God. You might even like sit and do some visualization practices. You might have a bubble bath. You might go and get a massage. Some things that will help you to really recenter yourself, allows you to take a realistic look at things rather than idealizing the things that you think you should be good at and beating yourself up when you don't get there, right? So the obsessive idealist tends to be their own worst enemy. And everybody can, but the obsessive idealist goes really hard on themselves. And this, again, will take a really big toll on your emotions, on your physical as well. It ends up really manifesting in the body as adrenal fatigue, as stress, lack of sleep. It could bring all sorts of illnesses to you and diseases, in the sense that you're out of ease and come out of your center. So the key then is to really understand, like, okay, if this is creating an emotional toll and that's the symptom, then at the core, if I could work on my I am good enough story, which is really what we call counteracting the pattern, going against that and reprogramming it back the other way, this is where you start to lighten up the load off your shoulders and you start to move with a lightness, but still effective. And the big lie that a lot of obsessive idealists tell themselves is that they can only be like all or nothing, 0 to 100. There is no middle ground. And this will get you in a lot of trouble because there are a lot of things that are middle ground. Things such as learning to be able to delegate workload to other people instead of trying to manage it all yourself. Things like being realistic about getting a mentor and having a mentor support you instead of trying to be Superman or Wonder Woman and managing it all yourself. Things like there is time to take a break, and you can create that time to be able to what we call oscillate, where you come down and you refresh and recenter and then go back into work mode, right? This is where you become more effective. A lot of the time, the obsessive idealist lies to themselves and they think they have to just keep running until their feet fall off and their face melts, right? Just like that hardcore hustle. And that's not true. I've seen it with thousands of my clients that this is actually going to work against you in time, and you will eventually reach burnout. So we want to not tie our self-worth to the outcomes all the time, right? A lot of obsessive idealists, they have this fear of starting tasks because it might not turn out perfectly. And so if we at least manage our expectations around the fact that this may be 80% of what I'd like it to be, but I'm open to getting feedback or getting mentorship or learning to just develop more of my skill to get the other 10 or 20% or 15%, then this is a really good approach, right? So it's managing those expectations. Also knowing that your need for control is actually going to burn you out as well, right? If you're always like trying to grab the wheel and you're always trying to steer where you need to go, yes, there's a time for discipline. Yes, there's a time for planning ahead. Yes, there's time for structure. But if you desire to control every aspect, this can lead to not starting anything as well. It sort of backfires on you, because if you feel like there's some unknowns or some uncertainty, then you're going to avoid stepping into it to build that business, or to invest your money where you get to invest your money, or start an awesome fitness workout plan because you're trying to control every aspect. This can actually bleed into relationships too. You can become a very controlling person in relationships. And this is something that I got to learn along the way. It's what I learned through my clients as well, because I see this, right? And I notice too that there's this comparison with others, like just looking at what other people are doing and constantly comparing to others and leading yourself to these feelings of inadequacy, like just feeling really inadequate because you're constantly comparing yourself instead of actually versing you, right? Like, hey, how much can I grow, and how much can I learn, and how much can I humble myself to the process, right? So some of the solutions that we can get into play, and I actually have the All Bliss Academy, All Bliss, How to Be Awesome, Live a Blissful Life. In there, I teach you how to conquer your procrastination. We have a 7-day free trial right now, so make sure you just click the link down here in the description. You'll see it, and you can take the quiz if you haven't yet. You'll see that there's an option there for you to jump into the academy. We have accountability with the group that's in there. You get a 31-day planner that's customized to you as the obsessive idealist. And if you're watching this and you're not an obsessive idealist because you took the quiz, then it doesn't matter if you're one of the 5 other types. Then you'll be able to follow a planner that's customized for you as well, to be able to reprogram these patterns. I also mentor you in that group. We have a discount going right now. It's 42% discount. Don't miss that, because this is going to be something that will allow you to be able to feel supported, that will support you with stressing less about things in life. You're going to have some great structure. You're going to have people in your corner. You're going to be able to achieve new goals that you never thought you could, because you're no longer overwhelmed by your mood and your stress, and you're not going to feel stuck and exhausted. Okay. So make sure you click the link in there. It's allbliss.com. Join. You go to allbliss.com/membership. Click on that and you just see our options there. You can do yearly or 6-month or month by month. Again, 7-day free trial, no hassles. If you want to cancel, you can cancel. Trust me, you're going to want to stay in because it's amazing. You got great support there. So look, yeah, setting realistic goals is going to be important for you. And really just drawing a line here, a line there, and putting up the top, what would be a bonus, what would be good, great, and excellent, and then underneath that, what would be below your standard, because you still need standards, right? But you don't want to go below it. So if you know where below the standard is, you're not going to beat yourself up all the time, and you actually get to write it out on paper and look at it for what it is and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'm probably being a little bit unrealistic right now. So I'm going to just like readjust my goals a little bit here, okay? Sometimes as an obsessive idealist, and for me, a recovering and coming back into that creation as an obsessive idealist, I could say that my ambition sometimes gets ahead of me. It still happens, but I have a better management of it than I used to. If you saw me like 8 years ago, forget about it, right? I was trying to spin plates on every finger on my hands and it was real nasty. Like I got so exhausted. So I don't want you feeling like that and feeling frustrated. It's time to be able to move with great momentum, to be in flow, to be harmonized and very powerful. As a matter of fact, you're going to be even more powerful than you are now once you learn how to manage these patterns. Okay, it's going to help you to do way better in your business. You're going to be way more focused. You have way more clarity. You're going to know how to be held accountable to yourself. You're going to be able to manage your money mindset better. Your relationships, you'll be able to deepen them and communicate better and have great outcomes in your relationship, and your health too. You're going to be able to achieve great health goals and be able to possibly even get to a level where you're fit and very harmonized in all areas of your life. So another thing I would say is that you want to embrace the imperfection. And so some people think that that sounds like real soft and, man, if I do that, then I'm going to lose my edge. But the truth is, you're actually going to be able to rise above your emotions and become more powerful when you learn how to do this. So you're going to learn how to do it in the Obsessive Academy. Make sure you jump in there. And I would just say, really, like, you recognizing your tendencies and this feeling of not feeling good enough and that always overpowering you, when you can start to really just like remove that charge so it's not so overcharged in your life, you're going to feel a sense of power and direction in your work. And this is going to help you to fulfill your purpose more. I've seen it happen with thousands of people around the world, and it can happen just for you too. Okay, so jump in. If you haven't taken the quiz, take the quiz. If you haven't joined Obsessive Academy, I'm in there mentoring you. Each week we have live calls, we have accountability groups, 31-day planner. I have visualization audios you can listen to as well that are coming in next. So, and they're probably already in here if you're watching this, months later. So make sure you jump in, and I'll see you in there. Thank you once again for being a part of this community here, and I look forward to seeing you in the community on Oblis. Share the quiz too, the procrastination quiz. Share it with your friends, family, followers. Get it out there, because the more people that know how to be able to break their patterns and come out of procrastination, then the more there are going to be people that can be successful and live a straightforward and harmonized life. And I want that for you and your friends and family and followers too. Okay. Thanks for tuning in. See you on the next video.